As this campaign comes to a close, we see both Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on an absolute media blitz, doing interviews all across the country. But the biggest difference between the two is that Kamala Harris is having success in those interviews, and Donald Trump is an absolute disaster. He is too tired and too lazy, unenergetic to really show up for the amount of interviews he has to do. And even though they are all complete softballs with Fox or Newsmax or comedians on podcasts, he still finds a way to humiliate and embarrass himself because he is such a disaster at this point in the campaign, both tired and deranged, leading to this combination of absolute chaos, which continues to play out every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, as we always talk about on this show. And even when a Fox host like Maria Bartaromo, who interviewed him this morning on Fox, tries to help him out, he can't do anything but completely collapse. And so when she fact checks him, he doesn't know what to do, because Donald Trump is always expected to have his hand held by whoever is interviewing him. So when that doesn't happen, he gets quite upset, and he did in this interview today, and we are going to check all of that out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and join the community that we're building on this channel. It really goes a long way, and the support means the world to me. Now, before we get into that fact check, let's see a little bit from this interview.
Let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years. Yeah. You have people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years. You got, like you said, 13,000 murderers and 15,000 rapists. Right. What are you expecting? Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful election day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think the bigger problem is the enemy from within. Not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country. The towns, the villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem in terms of election day. I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
And we are seeing just how much more he wants to impose his anger. Yesterday, talking about wanting to rule with an iron fist. This is the guy who has said he wants to be a dictator on day one. And so these threats, this anger from Donald Trump should be incredibly scary to all of us, because we know how he would want to wield power if he were to win again. And it's not just the attacks that he wants to make with the government, it's the attacks he wants to make on our government. And he talked about those, referencing his new friend Elon Musk in this clip right here.
So that there's a lot of fat in government that you would want to slim down.
Incredible fat. So
what agencies would you want to shut down?
Well, let me have you ask another person that, because I'm going to have Elon Musk. He is dying to do this. You know, he's a great business guy, actually. You think of him for science and rockets, and every time I think he's telling me about a new screw that was developed, he's developed a new screw. Screws are difficult, and it's made out of titanium, and it's so exciting. But you know what? He's a great business guy, and he's a great cost cutter. You've seen that. And he said, I could cut costs without affecting anybody.
So he will be in the cabinet?
Not in the cabinet. He doesn't want to be in the cabinet. He just wants to be in charge of cost cutting.
I cannot think of a worse possible duo of incompetent right-wing fascists than Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And of course, they don't want to cut government waste. What Donald Trump and Elon Musk want to do is tear our government apart bit by bit in service of their right-wing friends and their fellow billionaires and giant corporations. That is what this is all about. It's about serving themselves, giving themselves more power to go after their political enemies as well. These are two of the most aggrieved individuals I have ever seen on the national stage, who act like children in their attacks on their political enemies. These people can be nowhere near the White House. These people can be nowhere near power, because we have already seen what they do when they have it. And it should scare us all. And what else should scare us is the way that Donald Trump continues to talk about the outcome of this election, like in this clip right here.
Gallup polling says only 57% of Americans are very or somewhat confident that their votes this year will be accurately cast and counted.
Well, probably
the
right.
percentage who say they are not at all confident in the vote is now 19%. It was 6% in 2008.
I don't feel confident. When you have mail-in voting, Jimmy Carter had a commission on it. Nobody does mail-in voting. Now, you look at other countries, France, they go to paper ballots. France had it, and they had a lot of problems.
But you don't.
There needs to be more attention paid to the way that Donald Trump is talking about our election. We cannot just laugh off when he says if Jesus was counting the votes in California, he'd win. We can't just brush past these obvious attacks on the outcome of this upcoming election that he's trying to make, sowing doubt about it, saying that he doesn't know if votes will be fairly cast. Well, do you know the only unfair casting of votes that happened in 2020, Donald? It was your fake slate of electors. It was you trying to push false votes. It was you trying to steal away the will of millions of Americans in Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona. That's when we saw attacks on our election. And that's what Donald Trump wants to do again. And we have to call that out now before it is too late. We have to make sure we are fighting back against it. And speaking of being called out, Donald Trump was surprisingly called out by Maria Bartaromo for his failed economic plans, for his past economic failures. He did not like it. I want to get into it in this clip right here.
It's because you've said you want to eliminate taxes on tips, eliminate taxes on Social Security, on overtime pay, ending the double taxation of Americans living abroad, a proposal to make car loans interest tax deductible.
That was said.
You said that in Detroit. You even introduced this 15% corporate tax rate for companies who produce in America and hire American workers. But how will you pay for it? The Committee for a Responsible Budget says your plans will increase the debt by $7.5 trillion.
But they don't know.
The Wall Street Journal said that your plans will increase the debt and deficits more than Kamala Harris's.
If I do this, you're going to have car companies coming back to the country because of the taxes and the tariffs. The tariffs will protect them when they come in, so they will protect from other companies coming in, because if the other companies don't come in, they're going to have to pay massive tariffs. And that's it. So I was told.
That wasn't the only time that Maria fact-checked Donald, and we are going to check that out in the next clip. But wow, just a little bit surprising. I'm sure you are as well. You're surprised to hear a little bit of truth coming out of the Fox Propaganda Network that, yes, economists, independent agencies have said that Donald Trump's plan will be adding more to the national debt, $7.5 trillion, than Kamala Harris's plan would. We have independent agencies. We have banks. We have CEOs of Fortune 500 companies saying that Kamala Harris is better for business, that Donald Trump already was a disaster, and his tariff plan would be even worse, not just for consumers, but for businesses at large. And of course, his mass deportation plan, well, obviously immoral, would also be disastrous for the economy, because this is an out-of-control individual. And that's why Maria Bartaromo called him out again in this clip right here.
What about the criticism, and the Journal has done this as well, that if you do put something like a 200% tariff on a product, that it's only going to mean higher prices for consumers?
No, it's not. No, it doesn't mean that.
It's got to be passed on somehow.
No. All I'm doing is saying, I'll put 200 or 500, I don't care. I'll put a number where they can't sell one car into the United. I don't want them to sell the car, because I don't want them hurting our car companies. We're going to have a lot of companies moving into the United States. When I use 200, I'm using it as a number. I don't want their car. They will not be able to sell cars. I'm not going to let them build a factory right across the border and sell millions of cars into the United States and destroy Detroit further.
Donald Trump talking about his tariff plan just goes to show how little he actually knows about it. I've always said this, and I continue to, that I want another debate, not for Kamala Harris to grill Donald Trump on specifics. We've seen that before. It would be beautiful, but we've seen that movie before. What I really want to see is him ask just simple questions. What is a tariff? Can you spell the word? Where did your Bibles come from that you're selling? China? Just ask him simple questions. We could do a spelling bee. That could be the next debate. That would be fun. But no, he doesn't understand his own tariff plan because he just said it. One, he doesn't think he needs congressional approval. That's insane. That's dictator on day one behavior. Secondly, he's just now throwing around numbers. He doesn't care. He said, oh, it could be 200%. Doesn't matter. It could be 300. It's just a number. I'll give any number I want. That's not how that works. For the past weeks and months, we have seen the media constantly complain, we don't have enough specifics about Kamala Harris's plans. We don't know enough. Why isn't she talking enough? We haven't visited her website where all of her plans are clearly outlined. Really? But the guy saying that he'll just throw around tariff numbers at whatever percentage he wants, whether it be 100, 200, 500, if he's feeling like it, you're not going to push back on that guy? Really? It's a failure of the mainstream media. We have to continue to call it out. Another place where Donald Trump was lying about numbers, though, came in this clip right here.
We're running to save our country, so we're not going to be taking any vacations. We had such a day a little while ago in Butler. You saw that we had 101,000 people show up. 101,000 people. A tribute to Corey, the firefighter, and a tribute to a lot of things. And it was an amazing, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
While it should not shock us that Donald Trump was lying about the crowd size at his Butler rally, I'm going to go ahead and do a little quick fact check because it's pretty easy. It was not 101,000 people in Butler. You were about 80,000 people off. It was about 20. Donald, not a small crowd necessarily, but certainly not a huge one. Certainly not the crowd that he wants. Oh man, but his little feelings are so hurt. Oh, not 100,000 people. I don't think you're going to get him next time. I was going to say you'll get him next time. You're not going to. It's not going to happen. It seems petty, but I don't know. We have to fact check this. We have to call it all out, and we are going to every single day on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.